John O'Hurley is an award-winning actor, singer, comedian known for his work in TV, film, and Broadway. Maybe you know him as J. Peterman on Seinfeld. Maybe the voice of King Neptune on SpongeBob SquarePants. Maybe as a popular game show host with Family Feud. And to tell the truth, well, tomorrow night, January 17th, you're going to know him as the star of A Man with Standards. It is his one-man show. He's doing it live and in person at Doc's Houston, as I said, for one night only, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. He's going to also share memories and stories of his life and his career. And joining him in studio with us is Steven Rawlins, who's his musical director and a composer in his own right. Welcome, John. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
To Hello,
Thank
Houston.
Well, very nice to be here.
If folks want to join the conversation, and I'm sure they do, give us a call, 713-440-8870.
Don't hold back.
Don't hold back.
We
Doris
are
and
not
I
afraid
were
of
talking,
anything.
and we are absolutely in love with the name of the show, A Man with
Yes.
Standards.
Thank you.
So smart.
Wonderful
Thank
title.
you. Well, it's as I say, I was lucky enough to grow up in the period of the music and the mastery of the Great American Songbook, and I also was lucky enough to grow up around men and women who had standards. And
Did we used to have those?
we used to have
Used to
that,
have those.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, we did.
Okay, Stephen, how good is he?
I'm still with him.
How long is the relationship?
It goes on till, believe it or not, I think the first show we did was the night after Seinfeld ended in
Right.
What
98.
a friendship.
98.
Wow.
Providence, Rhode Island.
I was doing my first concert with the Rhode Island Symphony, and he had done all the arrangements.
Wonderful.
So when did music come into your life?
Well,
So
it's
many
always
of us
been.
think
It's
of
always
you
been.
as
Oh,
an
as-
actor, and they forget all the Broadway work and the shows.
Started off in opera, and I went from opera to Broadway to daytime. Actually, after that, I became Mr. Daytime on.
Oh, watch out, Doris is armed for
you
this.
just-
She loves
you
her song.
just said it. I am a soap opera
There
fan.
wasn't a show that I didn't do. And take off the air.
The villain, the professional. You.
I was the original, believe it or not, I was the original twin brothers on daytime.
Yes.
On Loving. I was there on Loving. Yes, I was actually twin brothers, one of whom was 1 inch shorter than the other because I would take my shoes off.
Oh,
Wasn't I clever?
You were
Was
good.
I clever?
You know, a
You're
lot of
good.
people.
I
will-
love the look. Wait,
Okay.
it's the look into the camera in the soap opera.
Yes.
You
As
had
the
it
camera moves in, you have that slow, and then you begin to slowly suck your cheeks in
You got
to
it.
make the bones kind of
Yes,
pop out there.
yes,
Sure.
yes. This is why I still watch those shows.
Folks
It
need to be
really is,
watching
yeah.
us on YouTube
Well,
right
it
now.
is, and it's
So-
the only. Think about this. It's the only medium outside of an actual film, a cinematographic film, where they do a close-up. Think about it. A sitcom doesn't do close-ups. They don't. They stay within the boundary, a certain boundary, but daytime television comes right in on top of you.
Right.
So
I
often
love it.
people joke
at the
about
smile.
soaps,
Yeah.
but as an actor, oh my God, the work you folks put in that arena, the
it's,
amount of
when you were and when I was doing Twin Brothers, it was double the work because I had to do both characters. I had to do the kind of call and response. Can I tell you a funny story about
Please
that?
do.
All right, this is one of the funniest stories about daytime. Well, if I'm playing Twin Brothers, guess what I have to have? I have to have a body double, somebody who looks like me from behind. Now, at the time, I still had fairly dark hair. There were little wisps of gray in there, but mostly it was black. Jet black. And so they found a guy who was a bouncer down at the Limelight Club down at 19th Street in Chelsea in New York City. And he came in every day for about a year and a half, and he played my body double. Well, in the beginning, he's kind of a these, thems, and those kind of guy, and he was always talking like this. And then he would do my line, the other half of my lines. And so he was driving me nuts with this. I couldn't hear my lines being delivered that way because in parody. So I finally said to the producer, I said, please just tell him to be quiet. It's okay. It's easier for me to put the space in there than it is to have to listen to his soliloquy from the Bronx. So anyway, we go on, and we're maybe 6 months into the time together. And he says to me one day, he says, are they finished? I said, yeah. I said, I think we finished the scene. He said, good, I'm going to go back to my dressing room and finish my play. I said, what? I said, you're what? He said, I write a play. It's about the stories of my life. And I said, well, good for you. It was Chaz Palminteri, and it was Bronx Tale.
Oh, wow.
Well,
that a
that's
funny
a good story.
Is
That
never
is a
know
good
who
story.
you're working
You
with.
never
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
You mentioned Limelight. You also spent time in Studio 54.
As a performer, not as a stripper. I don't know what's on the internet, but I was never a stripper.
We weren't
We were
going to go
really
there,
hoping.
were we, Doris?
No, there was something that was flashing that you danced at Studio 50. I said, I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, they have you as an exotic
danced
dancer.
I was on the first dancing I ever did was on Dancing with the Stars. That was it.
Really?
That
Well,
was the
I'm curious. Studio 54 has taken on such a legendary status in people's remembrances of it and what was happening. In the moment, was it that outrageous? Was it so?
Oh well, you're not looking at a guy that would ever have been able to pierce the velvet rope. No, I couldn't get it. Oh no. And I also think that by the time I got to New York, that was pretty much a done. It was pretty much gone, and no one knew what to do with it. Then it became downstairs at Studio
54.
Right.
54 Below, and which we have done several times.
Yeah.
I've done several performances there.
So jump me all the way to today. And Stephen, maybe you can help me with this. When putting together a show with someone like John, who's got such a storied life and career, how do you decide what makes it in, what doesn't make it in, what music, how is it all going to play together?
Well, that's largely John's idea. You know, because he had the concept for the show in the first place and songs that were specific to his life. And it's pretty much autobiographical, and it's pretty much chronological, which is, I've never worked with anyone else that's done a show that way.
Yeah.
And each song kind of has a story, the story with this life and then the next step and so forth. And so in this case, John put the ideas together. We're talking about another show in the future, and I've been throwing some input in that way.
Yeah. Is it songs that you have performed in your career, or are they songs that are reflective of your career?
Reflective, I would say, and songs that I would say
A little bit of both.
Both, a little bit of both. The songs I chose because they underscored the stories of my life, and so many of these stories are when I was very, very young, and the strange things that I did, and I was an odd little boy. And
should we just let that sit there, Doris?
No,
or should we find
We're
out how
coming back
odd
to that.
it
Put a
was?
pin in it. We'll come back.
But it's and it's wonderful to go out and do it every night. I just love doing the show. It's wonderful, and it's always well received. It surprises people. I think that's the joy of it. People said, we came here not knowing what to expect. We thought, well, maybe you were going to do stand-up comedy for an hour and a half. But let me tell you, when I started doing the show, and this is a funny story, we did it. I get a call from Michael Feinstein, who is the cabaret king. He called me one day and he says, Sean, have you got a one-man show? And I said, well, of course I do.
Yeah, the answer in showbiz is always
Of course
yes.
I do. And he says, good. He says, I'm opening a new spot at the Hotel Nico in San Francisco. And he said, I'd love you to open it for me. And he said, it'll be on Halloween night. Imagine that. And imagine what Halloween is like in San Francisco. So I said, sure, I'll be there. I'll take it. I'll bring it. I'll dust it off and we'll have a great show. Well, my second phone call was to Steve saying, get over here. So it took us a weekend, really. The show was really put together very, very quickly. Steve had to do a lot of jumping around through hoops to do arrangements and keys and everything like that. But the show was wonderful, and I did the first show. But what I didn't do, what I failed to do, that every performer should always do, is get a running time for your show. Because I would have realized that we had a 2.5-hour show, and I got halfway through the show, and I said, I'm so sick of talking about me, I could throw up. And I'm exhausted by the end, and I said, how long? He said, well, about 2.5 hours. I said, oh, my God.
We did a little editing after that.
So
Yeah.
we brought it back. It's about a little, not quite an hour and a half. It's just
I want to just
palatable
remind
length.
folks we are speaking with award-winning actor, singer, and comedian John O'Hurley and musical director and composer Steven Rawlins. If you'd like to join the conversation, 713-440-8870. Sandy is on the line. Sandy, what's on your mind today?
Hello, Sandy.
Hi, I'm so pleased that you took my call. John, we absolutely adore you when you do the Purina.
The National Dog Show.
The National Dog Show on Thanksgiving Day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you are the main reason that we watch that.
Oh, you watch for the dogs. Be honest.
No, we're cat people. We enjoy the dogs.
The show is so good, even the cats watch it.
There you go. Yeah, but I've just found you have such a quick wit, and I'm curious. Is that just all off the cuff as you are doing the show?
It really is. It's just, stuff that occurs to us. The famous one that seems to have stood the test of time is when they brought the Old English sheepdog up to the judge, a woman, and she marches around to the back of the dog, puts all of her hands through the back of the dog, and of course this is a Old English sheepdog, so it's 80 pounds of hair and 2 pounds of actual dog. And so she's picking through all of the hair. And I said, David, what is she doing? He says, well, John, she's make sure that the hips and the shoulders align with the written specification of what the perfect Old English sheepdog should be. He says, because you can hide a really bad dog with a really good haircut. And I said, you're telling me I went to junior prom. And I said, oh, no. So it gets worse. She walks around to the front of the dog and picks through all of the hair on the dog's head. And I said, David, what is she doing now? He says, John, she's trying to find the eyes to gauge the attentiveness of the dog. And I said, really? I said, well, if she picks through all of that hair and she finds only one eye, she's got the wrong end of the dog. Things I have no business doing. But
Sandy, thank you.
Sandy, thank you. That was such a
Please
nice
still watch.
You segued into my favorite joke.
That was good. That was good.
I will be killed by my producer if I don't bring up SpongeBob SquarePants because he loves you. And the thing that I think is funny, same thing that others have told me, by knowing where your fan base talks to you about the stuff that interests them, you can pick their age. Because if some of them are going to come to you and be Seinfeld, some are going to be SpongeBob SquarePants, some are going to be dog shows. What are you finding now is what people come up to you for?
Well, Seinfeld always, because, remember that Netflix went and paid $200 million for Seinfeld again, and so what they did was they introduced the show to a whole new audience again. So I have 14 to 20-year-olds that are watching Seinfeld that never watched it before, and that's a huge number because they can binge watch now, which is what youngsters like to do. They want to watch on their time schedule rather than waiting for syndication to roll around. And also the fact that Seinfeld was on once a week, it may be must see TV on Thursday, but you had to wait a week. Right. Now you can binge watch it, and so I would say Seinfeld still takes it. The dog show is very popular. Dancing with the Stars still hangs on because that was that controversial first year that I did it, and eventually won, so that all was right with America.
Oh yeah, they straightened themselves out.
In your stories in the show, we know you talk about yourself and you make fun of yourself and the different things that have happened. Are we too serious in America right now to just laugh at ourselves?
Yeah, I think that we have become so brittle that we have lost the ability to be silly. And silliness is the highest and most interesting form of comedy. To be able to make fun of yourself is the greatest joy, and it's absolutely the most freeing of things. To be sarcastic at someone else's expense is painful, it's heavy, it's weighty, and nothing truly ever gets accomplished.
Is there a certain age you get to where you can actually laugh at yourself, you think?
Yes, and it's a very good point. It's a very good point. I think it certainly is a maturing of the individual to say that you can make fun of yourself, because you're confident in who you are and what you are, and it's like, hey, we're all just bozos on the bus. That's all we are.
Well, bozos, I'm going to say goodbye to you right now because you have a show to do tomorrow night.
We do.
Got to get you over there, John O'Hurley and Steven Rawlins.
We're out of time. I hate that.
I know. We'll be over at Doc's Houston Saturday night, January 17th. For the
Which is a great
show.
place.
It is a great place.
Houston, you're going to be very proud of this place.
John O'Hurley, a man with standards. Go see it.
You.
Thank you both for
Thank
coming
you.
in
Nice
today.
to be here.
Thank you.